Hello, everybody. All right, so I haven't done a video in a very, very long time. So I figured I would kick one out here. So I've been kind of messing around with, Warhammer online. Technically, so this game, let me back up. This game actually technically is shut down. This is a private server that is run. I think you can go to, if you ever want to play, you can look up, I think it's called Return of Reckoning. And again, it's a little private run server that, yeah, lets you play the old Warhammer online game. So I played way back in the day. I liked the game a bit. There was some issues with it back then. Actually, ironically, I think a lot of the issues, or the biggest issues I had with it, was just that it was frankly too popular. And what I mean by that is, when you'd go to do the open world PvP, there were like weird limitations on the amount of players that could fit in the zones, and like the zones were always crashing. I don't know if that ever got fixed, but nowadays the game is just not as popular as it used to be. Obviously, again, because these aren't even official servers, but. So I think some of those or those issues wouldn't pop up then if you were to play. So there is that. The only other thing I would say, kind of like a crummy thing though, is because this is a private server, not everything works the way it used to. My understanding is they've made some changes to different things regarding certain skills, and they've actually got a little page, I think, because they've got kind of like a wiki page, and it kind of describes all the different changes from live, or at least I should say some of the changes. Specifically, and a lot of times it's regarding the skills and like tactics. So, anyways, all right. So let's talk a little bit about kind of what I like about this game and what I don't. I actually really like that. So this is one of those games where you can PvP right from level 1. Like you could literally make your character and just queue up for PvP immediately. Now I think there were tiers though. So like if you were level 1 to, and I don't quote me. These numbers are not going to be accurate, but we'll just say you were like level 1 to, I think up to like level 19 was the first tier. Actually, it was probably like level 10, something like that. So that was your first tier, and basically it would kind of just make sure that the people that are not too high level, like again, like we'll say the next tier is like, we'll say 11 to 19 or something like that, and it just makes sure that those characters can't can't kind of stomp the other characters. There are what do they do? They do like kind of like bolstering, I guess. That's probably not the right term, but it boosts your level up and your kind of your stats up. But I don't know how that formula worked with your gear, and then obviously you just won't have the same skills though either. So if you're going in at level 1, you've got whatever your like basic attack skill is, and that's about it. So obviously there are going to be always some disadvantages in PvP, but whatever, it is what it is. So anyways, again, what I liked is that you could PvP right from level 1, and the PvP was most of the time pretty fun. There were some kind of goofy things about this game, but I mean, it's kind of has the same issues as really any other PvP game. Other than, I will say that this game, I vaguely remember having some real issues with stacking AoEs. So, certain classes have AoEs and other classes don't. And, the problem was, specifically with the open world PvP is if you could bottleneck people, you could basically trap them into, like, AoE zones. And that was not good. And I think that's persisted even into the private server. So that's unfortunate. But I don't know how much of a issue it really is these days. But That was, again, one of the things that I disliked about it. But anyways, all right, so let's talk a little bit about kind of like the kind of cool things that I like about this game. One of them is these tactics down here. So these are called tactics. So when your character's at maximum level, you get 4 of these. I don't know what these are. Oh, I guess they're considered career tactics. And those are, oh, you know what, I'm going to go back to the main city. But yeah, these are kind of a way to, I mean, it makes, some of them make leveling a lot easier. Some of them, you know, they'll like, I've got a couple I think that heal me while I'm in combat, which is again pretty nice because it kind of allows you to just keep going when you're you know, leveling up, and you don't have to stop and then you know, let your health kind of restore outside of combat. So that's nice. There's, you know, again, there's tons of different, let's see here, tactics. Here we are. So I've got, yeah, like 3 different pages of these tactics. So again, it's just a kind of a cool way to kind of trick out your character the way you need for different situations. So like we'll say, excuse me, this first tactic set is probably probably the tactic set that I use the most for. This looks like PvE, and then the cool thing is you can just you know, bring up this little bar here, or if you click over here in your this little one, it'll bring up the different sets of tactics. It looks like I've got a couple set up. So so then you can have like a PvP set of tactics as well, and you can switch between those as long as you're not in combat. So that's the only thing that really holds you back with these tactics. So but yeah, pretty cool, interesting way of kind of you know, making yourself different or helping you out throughout the game, you know, again, depending on what situation you are in. So another thing here is the career career abilities are just the abilities that you learn. Obviously, I'm already out. I'm at level 40 and I have all of my abilities. And here on this private server, you actually don't have to buy your abilities. I noticed that they just give them to you automatically. That's really nice. That was I don't know if that happened on the live server when that was out too, but very, very nice to not have to go back to a trainer to buy skills. You just, you know, automatically get them. Now, the other thing that is not as easy to swap in and out are these masteries. And basically, this is like, you know, almost any other game I've played that have these different kind of like skill trees. So for this game, every class has 3 different paths, you know. So like I'm a Choppa, which is like a AOE DPS. Yeah, it's probably the best way I would describe them. Anyway, so there's 3 different trees here that you can go into. Again, you know, most of these will be useful depending on your playstyle. So like, alright, so Path of the Reckoning, Mastery Path focused on area of effect offensive abilities. So this is the AoE tree, which I've gone heavily into, actually all the way to the end. So if you notice here, you can put 3 points in and it unlocks this tier, and then you have to put 1 more point in. I think at the end of the game, what do you get? 20, it's like 22 points or something like that. Might be a little bit more. Oh, 25 points at rank 40. So yeah, once you hit rank 40, you max out at 25 points. But anyways, so you can, or if you notice here, what they've done in these trees is basically every point you put into these, it actually beefs up these other skills that are kind of like, you know, they're considered for this character Path of the Recca abilities. So so yes, again, any point that I was to put into this mastery tree, this will beef up these skills just a little bit more. And then again here, if you spend the point here to unlock this tactic, then you can use the tactic. Otherwise, these tactics are not usable. And then there's obviously abilities peppered in here as well. So we've got, looks like this is a snare of some sort, so that's good for PvP. Chop fast, so this looks like a buff. Yeah, it's a buff. And then here's one more ability, and then this is actually considered a morale ability, and that's how all of these trees work. Basically, excuse me, sorry, all of these, yeah, literally all of these trees work the same way, where you've got a tactic here, and then an ability, and then a tactic, an ability, tactic ability, and then your final one is a morale ability. Yeah, so, nice to know, I suppose. But alright, so what are morale abilities? Morale abilities are, they are the abilities that you get to use once you've been in combat long enough. So you've got a rank 1, a rank 2, rank 3, and a rank 4. Obviously or maybe it's obvious, maybe it's not, but the longer you are in combat, the more powerful morale abilities that you get to use are. So like this one is a really good AoE. It's an AoE and a knockdown, and it does a ton of damage. So you know, usually when you're out leveling, you're going to be using your, you know, probably like your rank 1, maybe rank 2, sometimes rank 3 abilities. Just because that's kind of how I would say it's probably pretty smart to use them that way. So you probably won't use your rank 4s that often, but you know, rank 4 morales you'll be able to. I think I technically or usually always end up using those in PvP. So that's another kind of cool thing about this game. I don't know. I'm sure there's other games that have similar mechanics to these morale abilities, but yeah, it's one of the cooler things about this game. So, alright, what's the last thing here? So, renown abilities. So, once again, this is a way to kind of differentiate yourself kind of from everybody else, and that's these renown abilities. So, your character actually there's basically 2 different ways to level up. Anybody that's played, say, Star Wars, Knights of the Old I think it's Knights of the Old Republic. I think that was the online version. I'm probably getting the name a little bit wrong, but anyways, there was a Star Wars game that had very similar ways to level. Excuse me. So one of them is just your character level. So again, once in this game, the maximum rank was 40. So once you hit the maximum level, that's it. And obviously your gear. I should say your gear obviously will use that rank. Some of the gear will actually use both ranks, so it will not only use your character's rank, but also your what's called the renown rank. And renown rank is basically your PvP rank. So the more you PvP, you know, the more that will go up. And so what you can actually do is buy renown abilities. Now, my impression here is there's actually 255 renown ranks in this game. So if you are a PvP fiend, you can get a ton of, possibly all of these abilities. I don't know. I haven't done the math, and there is no way that I will ever get to the maximum rank in this game. It's just not going to happen. But again, you can do, or you can get some pretty cool stuff here. I think some of the most useful ones are, I know there's one that reduces your chance of being critically hit. And then actually, yeah, there's also one that actually increases your chance to critically hit. So, again, that's just another way to kind of trick out your character. I don't know, again, if you can actually get all of those, but it is very, very possible, I would say, to get. I mean, some of those aren't going to be useful though either. I think some of those are like, you know, healing related. So there's not much reason to get that on a DPS type character. But But yeah, so the last thing I would say, this game actually has a really good crafting system. It's 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 really a secondary. Well, I guess crafting usually is secondary in games, but unfortunately, though, you can't as far as I know, anyway. Like you can't really create any gear. You can create these. They call them talismans. So those are like. I'm trying to think of what other games have something similar. I guess Final Fantasy XIV has a very similar mechanic with materia. Um, Actually, I think World of Warcraft has a similar mechanic as well, where like your gear will have slots and you can put these talismans in. I don't know if I've got. I might actually not have any gear. Yeah, I don't. Wow, that's kind of crazy. I actually don't have any gear with slots in it. Huh. Well, that is because I have barely played. But yeah, so anyways, I think that might be it for, I'll call it Return of Reckoning, because really this isn't Warhammer Online. Again, it's a great game. They do, I've seen a couple of events that they've done for it, which is kind of neat, you know, especially for a completely free server. You know, so, but, you know, that's usually how private servers work. They usually do, you know, kind of cool stuff like that. So, bravo to anybody that, or, you know, basically the people that run the server. Again, they've done some really cool stuff. It's cool to be able to kind of come back to a game that, you know, is literally officially shut down. There's not a whole lot of MMOs that have just legitimately shut down over the years that I've played anyway. I'm sure there are a ton of them, but you know, sometimes it's kind of cool to be able to just go back and, you know, kind of reminisce a little bit, or kind of horse around and do some play an old game that was fun back in the day. So that's about all I've got to say about Return of Reckoning. I would highly recommend, if you enjoy PvP, come try it out. You know, give it a whirl. The PvP is still sometimes fun. But the game also is very dated. This game, I mean, I think it shut down in like 2013 or something like that, so it is very dated these days. But again, fun game to mess around in, and again, completely free. And you know, again, bravo to the guys that are kind of keeping this game going. So that's all I got. Thanks for watching, as always.